Good afternoon, everyone. I notice that it is now 4:30. I will call the Infrastructure, Transportation, and Safety Subcommittee to order. Councillor Ingram has provided regrets for this meeting. Item number 2 is disclosure of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof. Seeing none, we'll move on to delegations. None are scheduled. And so item number 4 is report of the Director of Infrastructure and Development Services. Item 4.1 is Stratford Landfill Public Input invited June 2022. Mr. Crinklaw, would you like to go over the report?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess hit the brief highlights for it. This is a requirement as for our ECA. We do it twice a year. We did receive 2 responses from residents this year. The comments are provided in the report. Some suggestions around landfilling mattresses and furnitures, planting more trees, identification of aluminum recycling, and exploring options for decreasing wait times at the landfill entrance. So we also provide responses in the report there. We have looked at landfilling mattresses in the past, but no viable option has been really prepared yet for that. Aluminum recycling gets put into the metal recycling anyways. This year we actually have already engaged a consultant to look into reorganizing the site as we need to replace the weigh scale sooner than later because it's basically now an obsolete piece of equipment. So a good timing for that. So that's the responses for the report. I'd be happy to answer any questions anyone has.
Councillor Burback and then Councillor Gaffney.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm just curious too about the mattress recycling and possibly other construction waste recycling. I'm pretty sure that Kate has looked at these things on and off. I'm just wondering if she's continuing the efforts to find some solutions for that.
Yeah, through the chair, Ms. Simpson's a strong advocate for any diversion that can be introduced to landfill. So far, combination of economics and ease of actually facilitating that process have been the biggest hurdle so far, but she's constantly looking for options. So,
Councillor Gaffney, go ahead.
I was just going to say that I agree with certainly agree with the one comment that the staff at the landfill are a pleasure to deal with. They're always very pleasant and helpful. And I go there much more than I should. So that's been my experience. So thanks.
Agreed, mine as well. I did have a question. And again, COVID time has sort of shifted things. So we did have part of our one of the budgets was that the city needed to purchase some property as a buffer zone around the landfill, and it had been built into one of the budgets. And I'm wondering the status of that, only because one of the suggestions at that time was that it could be a potential for planting a large number of trees, because that property doesn't require, it might require a number, maybe some boreholes, but not a whole lot of vehicles needed access to it. So I'm just wondering if there was an update on that project, recognizing, of course, that I think it happened right at the beginning of COVID that we were going to do this.
yeah, through the chair. So there's, I guess, 2 parcels that might be considered here. The one that's more pressing, that's in the 2022 budget, is some properties that abuts Romeo Street, and we need that as part of a request from the ministry. So we haven't pushed that forward yet. It is on our priority list to move forward this year. In terms of the other parcel that surrounds the entire landfill, that's always a consideration, but nothing formalized at all at this point.
And just as a follow-up, that's parcel along Romeo that needs to be purchased. Could it be a potential sort of either wilding or tree planting project for sort of more environmental purposes?
Yeah, to the chair. So purchasing is one of the options. We need to discuss with the landowner what might be viable from their standpoint. Leasing is an option that could be for consideration. We really just need it not to be developed to sustain what we need for the landfill. So what would become of that parcel, difficult to determine at this point.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions on that item? If not, we do have a staff recommendation that council consider any comments received and that the report titled Stratford Landfill Public Input June 2022 be received for information. Moved by Councillor Gaffney. All in favor? Opposed, if any, and that's carried. Moving on to number 5, which is the departmental update. There was a nice comprehensive report circulated, but maybe Mr. Crinkle could hit the highlights for us before we open it up for questions.
Yes, through the chair. I'm not sure what highlights to bring up at this point. Sorry. If there's any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
That's okay. There were a lot of items, so I could see where choosing any one of them would be.
I do have one that's highlighted on my page here that I will bring up, though, is that Pride Stratford is looking to do some repairs for the rainbow crosswalk that's out there, and that is currently being facilitated as we speak. So hopefully we'll have something in the next short while for that replacement.
Thank you. I did see 2 hands up. I'll go with Councillor Gaffney first and then Councillor Burback.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you, Taylor, you and I have had a little bit of correspondence this week on that house on Foreman Ave where the sidewalk was repaired. My question goes to, if we don't have a policy, I wonder about looking at some sort of direction we be giving our contractors about when somebody's access is cut off, about expediting something like that. Like I know how this works is they come and they dig out a bunch and form them up and then go away for a few days until they have enough accumulated to order a truckload of concrete. I just think that when we cut off somebody's access, I wonder if we should be a little more conscious or making a little more of an effort to shorten the time people lose access to their driveways as little as we can, I guess.
Yeah, through the chair. Great question. So that is largely addressed through our contracts, that specific issue that you mentioned. We do have timelines for expectations that we expect them to meet. That issue, we are working with that contractor to have a faster turnaround time and potentially alter their operational response based on they're having difficulties retaining concrete suppliers, right? So that is something we'll push through our contract. That's probably where that would best be addressed. In terms of closing down sidewalks, it is something that we're always considering and evaluate on a case-by-case basis and what alternatives can be provided. For example, if like a development needs it for their building, that kind of thing. So, but if there is more specific or other direction, I'd be happy to take that back.
Well, I don't know, and maybe I'll ask the chair. Can I, or maybe I'm asking the clerk, can I make a motion, or is there a need for a motion, do you think, to look at our policy on driveway accesses when we're doing these small repair things?
So one of the challenges that I have with this is more of an operational issue. Like, I'm not sure. I think it would be like an internal procedure or policy. I can foresee, though, under, I would say, some of our accessibility requirements. Like, quite often, if work's being done on one driveway, then you inform the neighbors, you talk to them. If they need to park their car on a neighbor's driveway, they can do so. Like, so some of that communication piece from the contractor to the owners that will be affected. But let's say one of the owners is either, has mobility issues, needs to park on their driveway, and has to have access close to their home so they can get in and out. Then I could see maybe having another layer in our procedures or policy that would require the contractor to approach that particular project a little differently. Again, though, I think those are ideas that are operational in nature and not so much policy based. If,
I would, yeah.
yeah,
That's why I hesitated. I wasn't sure on that, so.
but
would,
I think this does highlight, I think this particular issue, because the person in question would need access to their home closer. It isn't like they could park down the street or because of mobility issues, let's say, maybe that just highlights to us that we should have some, to staff, maybe it highlights to staff that maybe some consideration should be made around communication with the neighbors or the affected.
Yeah, and
I'm looking to the director to see whether that is something they can just build internally with having a conversation with staff, because I don't see a policy here, but I could be wrong.
Yes, for my end, through the chair, like I said, we have our own targets built into our contract, so it's something that we address through our contracts, right? So the timing for what was seen on Foreman and Ave is significantly more than we would like to see, and we have taken steps to address that issue. So it's a bit of a one-off with a new contractor that we haven't dealt with before, and getting to a point where we're more comfortable with their response times for that specific case.
okay, thank you. That's all good with me then. Thanks.
Great.
Lord.
I did see Councillor Burback's hand up.
Yes, thank you. That actually, I didn't have a question about that, but I do know there are a couple of sidewalks just down the street from me that are not complete. And now I know why. Yeah, so my comments were actually, I had asked earlier about the report from the master plan, the follow-up, and I did see that it's now on Engage, the what's called Engage Stratford, sorry. And yeah, it's down at the bottom on the one side. So thank you for that. I haven't had a chance to read it. It's 193 pages. So I'm looking forward to reading that. And thank you for getting that to us so quickly. And the other thing was, I'm really excited to see the sidewalks that are going to be put in, the ones that are along Cambria. Yeah, it's great. I've been waiting for years. So it's very exciting.
Any other comments or questions? If not, item number 6 is advisory committee and outside board minutes, and they're there to read at your leisure. Next subcommittee meeting will be July 27th at 4:30 p.m. And I have asked if possible for the vice chair to chair that meeting. I know we do that every so often. We haven't had an opportunity to do so. So if Councillor Burback could be listed as the chair for that meeting, that would be great. And all we need now is a motion to adjourn. Moved by Councillor Burback. Thank you very much. All in favor? Thank you very much, everyone. Have a nice afternoon.
Stay
Bye.
safe, everyone.